towns a go-go. Oh, with the record selection and the mirror's reflection, I'm a dancing with myself. Oh, when there's no one else inside, in the crowded lonely night. Well, I wait so long for my love vibration, and I'm dancing with myself. Dancing with myself.
Hello, I'm Janet Vaughn, and I'm doing this for Reese. But I looked in the yearbook and I found out you were in my first class of kids I ever taught. You graduated in 1970, and I started. You were a ninth grader in probably 67. That was Mr. Stanford's last year. But anyway, that's enough history. Now let's see what Reese wants me to talk about. Well, that was back in the 50s, and a lot of different things was happening about that time. Of course, I met my husband when I was just 17 and got married. Right now, I'm 76, and my husband will be 80, his birthday, so we're getting old. But anyway, we've lived along a lot of years, and at first I was wanting to talk about in the 60s. I married in 61, and that was a really turbulent time because that was at the period of time when George Wallace was our governor of Alabama, was running for president. And then, of course, he didn't make it or anything, but anyway, then our president, what was that president's name? Kennedy, got assassinated. Then his brother got assassinated, and it was a real turbulent time in the world. A cool thing about music, well, I never was too much into the music, but I remember I got my hair cut one day at a beauty shop, and the lady said, "Oh, there's a new person on the scene, a singer," and it was Elvis Presley. Whew, that makes me old. But anyway, that was a period of time when I was young, was when Elvis Presley was just getting started out. And of course, all of those religious people thought we're all going to die and go to hell because, he shook his leg and sang songs and all that kind of stuff. So as far as the music goes, that's kind of what was happening when I was growing up and a teenager. Was it expected you both at home and in school? Well, one thing my daddy said, it was my place, my job was to make good grades in school. So I tried my best, and I guess I did pretty good. And I didn't make too many C's. My daddy said, a C shows you're lazy. You could do it if you wanted to. So that was kind of the logic I thought. And when I started teaching school, well, most of the time we just played outside on the playground, and at Oxford there was an old rock stadium that's now on the historical register, can't be torn down, and we all, the boys would get out there and play ball, and us girls would be sitting up on the stadium just talking about everything. I think the most thing you faced was trying to please your mom and daddy. Mother, just like I never could do anything all right for her. Now my daddy was one that he just sit down and talk to me. So that's the way it was about. I guess as far as drinking alcohol, everybody's gonna try it one time. And I took one sip of a beer and I thought, how in the world does anyone like this? And I decided you have to make yourself like it, see? Describe your best teenage memory. Shoot. Well, I was only 18 when I met my husband, and the parties back then you went to, you usually wrote on little pieces of paper silly things everybody had to do, and it would fold it up, and you'd have to draw one out of the pot and do what it said to do. Well, I drew one out, and it said, I had to propose to a blue-eyed boy. Now, the girl giving the party knew my husband was a hoot, and he was going to just make a big do out of it. So she said, that one over there, go do it to that one over there. So I went over, and I had to kneel down and say, will you marry me? And, of course, he made the biggest to-do out of it. And, of course, he still laughs. He said, yeah, she proposed to me first. So that was kind of a teenage memory that I have. But what I can say for any generation that comes along, sit down and think about what you want to be. I always knew I wanted to be a school teacher. From the time I went to first grade, so there wasn't any kindergarten back then. So I went to first grade and I'd learn something and I'd come back home and all the kids in the neighborhood, well, I couldn't wait. I'd make them come over to my house and sit on those doorsteps and we'd play school. So I guess I was, like I tell a lot of people, teachers are born, not made. You can get every degree in the world, but if you don't have it in your heart to be a teacher and don't love the kids, then you won't ever be a good one. But the thing is, they figure you out after about 2 days in your class. And they know whether you truly care about them or you're just wanting to make a paycheck. So that's one thing I can say to you, all of you kids. Try to follow your heart. And like I saw on TV this morning, if you can make a living doing what you love, then you're a jump ahead. Okay.
Just say bye.
Bye-bye, Robin.